Welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast. We are glad you're with us. What is it like to become a pilot in your 40s and 50s? The challenges are unique for those of us in midlife, but so are the rewards. Hosts Ben, Brian, and Ted talk learning to fly, growing as pilots, and the joy of flying to destinations. The purpose of the podcast is not to teach, but to share knowledge and experiences of being a midlife pilot. Join the Midlife Pilot community and listen in every week. We are not CFIs or particularly intelligent, so if you want to learn how to fly, talk to anyone else other than the hosts of a podcast. Even this intro was too challenging for us, and we used a robot to do it. Okay, checklists are complete. Let's get the show started.
Hello and welcome to episode 168 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast, where we share the experiences and challenges of flying in midlife. Today, we're doing the debriefing fun. This episode with me, as always, it's my friend Brian and the super Siskind Charlie. How you doing, sir?
I am wiped out, but feeling good. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm just in a very good mood today. Also joining us way out there on the West Coast, up in the beautiful, beautiful town of Portland, Oregon. It's our sport pilot extraordinaire. It's our friend Ted. Good evening.
Hey, glad to be here. I'm glad to be home. We have shifted recording nights because I have some weird travel last week. So it's good to be here.
Glad
Did you get all your community service done?
Yeah, exactly. Well, legally I can leave the state now, so it's all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you know,
Put
one
that in your
step at a time.
Yeah.
I have no good reason to be in a cheery mood. I woke up early this morning. I've told you guys about this guy. In the hangar behind where we tie our airplane down, I've befriended this gentleman that has a 1956 Apache. And for those who don't know, it is a twin engine airplane. And he is very willing to go up and split time in the airplane and help me build my multi-time.
Cool.
Fascinating guy. We pull up to the airport this morning and it is clear and a million. And he starts showing me around the airplane and we pull out. And as we put the tug back into the hangar, for those of you who have been to McCollum, you know, it sits probably about a mile north of Kennesaw Mountain, which is a famous Civil War battlefield. And we look out and this fog just comes over the top of the mountain and is coming right at us. And it really felt like one of those alien movies where the spaceship is coming down and this massive cloud layer is covering the ground. It literally was like that. It took a video of it. And so, of course, as soon as we get the plane all ready, it goes from clear and a million to low IFR. So we had to scrub the flight. But we did spend a good 30, 45 minutes sitting in the cockpit, giving me some time to get familiar with it, which was actually very, very useful. So, but then I got to, at 10:30, 11 o'clock, it all burned off and took my cousin and his grandson up for his grandson's birthday. So we did a little sightseeing tour. So that was a lot of fun.
Nice. I saw your tail number on the Cooper bot, so I'm glad you got up.
Yeah, he was 6 years old and was a little nervous at first. But he was a champ. I actually let him take the controls for a few minutes and we had a good time.
Do you have to stand on the seat to see over the cowl?
He couldn't see over it. I was just telling him turn right, turn left.
Yeah.
Do we want to explain to folks who may not know what the Creeper bot actually is?
Oh,
it's probably a very worthy thing to explain.
Sure. It gets mentioned on air every once in a while.
Out of context, it doesn't sound great.
Well, Ted is a creeper still works, so yeah. So one of the features that our Discord, Patreon/Discord community get is there's a channel called Radar Contact, and there's a bot in there that has tail numbers of all the members that have opted in, and if it sees them up and flying, it posts and says, "Hey, you know, Ben's plane is up today," or Brian's plane is up, and so it's really fun. Especially in the summer when you see it and it's just busy and you just see everybody's up flying.
But it's also got links to ADSB information and all that. This is obviously opt-in, like you said.
Yeah.
But it's cool because you can just click and get a live view of wherever Ben is building time or doing whatever he's doing now or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can even see what they're squawking. So you can see if they got a funny squawk code or not.
I'm waiting for the Creeper bot to be so advanced that y'all can start judging my landings from the comforts of your own home. Hopefully soon enough. Brian, I know what you've been up to. We'll get into that a little bit later. Brian has some big news that we'll share with you in a little bit. Ted, anything else you want to, anything you've been up to?
Yeah, I wouldn't normally talk about it, but was on some commercial flights for my travel over the last week and a few days. And the one was interesting, which was being on final in some nice bumpy weather, and they go around in this regional jet, and I'm like, okay, it's probably just windshield or whatever. There was a plane on the runway at the not yet towered field that we were at. So that happened, and then we land, and there's so much construction going on at that airport that they taxi off onto the taxiway, which is under construction, flip a 180 back onto the runway, back taxi down to the other side of the airport because there's no taxiway in between the two, and taxi off. And I bet there were people on board that thought these were the worst pilots ever. Between the go around and the back taxiing and the appearing to be lost. So I just felt for the pilots in that situation.
That's not an everyday occurrence, that's for sure.
No.
If you're in a cab and the driver just goes right by the place that he slows down like he's going to stop in front of it and then just steps on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then turns around, comes back, then puts it in reverse, backs up in the middle of the road, then turns around,
Yeah.
People don't know.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm never flying these airlines again.
Yeah.
Not if they don't know where the heck they're going. So very cool. We have our big event coming up soon, and there'll be more information on it on our website. There is more information on our website. It's the Thaden Invasion, Victor Bravo Tango in Bentonville, Arkansas, March 13th through the 15th, 2026. That is, in fact, this year. Come one, come all. Know that we are not able to secure parking. It's a first come, first served basis. If VBT is full of parking, Rogers Field is right around the corner with plenty of parking, and you can even go, and we've got access to Sugar Creek Airport, which is owned by Legends Air. They've got a clubhouse, great camping, and
Grass strip.
The grass strip.
Yeah.
So you can go to our website, midlifepilotpodcast.com, and there is a section called Thaden Invasion. And you can we've updated the RSVP form. If you've already done it, you don't need to do it again. But if you're interested in coming and want to let us know about it, you can go to the website and provide your information on that.
Can I add real quick that
Please.
I did fly there last week.
Oh, that's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
And Ted, I know you've been there before. Ben, have you been there?
Negative.
Okay. Well, anybody who's on the fence about attending this event, whether you attend this particular occasion or not, I have to say, please get yourself to Victor Bravo Tango. That is the coolest airport and FBO that I have ever seen anywhere by leaps and bounds. It is incredible. The people there are so nice. They got all the things that you need. And at the fly-in event that we're having here, we secured a lounge area that's a private. There's a hidden door to get into this upstairs balcony lounge area. And we will have that for all of our crowd for the whole weekend, which means that we have our own spot to hang. There's the restaurant that's downstairs in the building is fantastic. I had Eggs Benedict with the mustard hollandaise that they had.
Oh, nice.
I'd never had that before. It was actually
Interesting.
Quite good. So I'm saying the food is great. There's all these little seating areas and places to hang and fireplaces and couches. And everything's just so comfortable and clean and professional and beautiful. It feels like you're really, really, really somewhere else. But I'll just say that I spoke with our one of our main folks that we've been in contact with there that runs the tailwheel program out of there, and he had a great point because he said people that are raised here as pilots have a very sad road ahead of them when they go anywhere else, when they go to absolutely any other FBO, any other airport, because this is as good as it gets. And he knows that. So anyway, we have an incredible space and we are right there. The live podcast and all of this that we'll be doing, the hangs, all of that, the space that we have to do it in at the FBO, there's a huge balcony right there, right at the approach end of the runway. Right there by the lake, you can see everything. It's all happening right there. It's not isolated from, the rest of the activity of the airport. They've really done an amazing job. By the way, stocked pond to fish in, kayak right there at the approach, on the approach end. All of these things are just within feet, but nicely.
I'd like it pointed out. Ted went there last year, but this was really. Brian is talking it up a significant amount, but that was before he ever went to it.
Mm-hmm.
We've set the location months and months ago, and now for you to have been there, what I'm saying is we haven't been paid to say any of this. We picked this place 6 months ago, and Brian nor I had ever been there, so this is legit. This is not Brian just saying, "Hey guys, this is the best spot on the planet," just because we're going there.
I've got two things to say. Number one, I told you so. Number two, usually when we talk about a cool FBO, they're usually, kind of oriented toward the big jets, and they're just so premium inside. You go into the bathroom, you stuff your pockets full of all the goodies that, are at the counter. Yeah. You drive a car that's worth more than you can afford. This is a premium FBO that is aimed at the GA market.
Yeah.
And when you go in, it's very obvious. Everything about it is kind of geared toward GA, adventure, having fun, all of that. And they do have jets that come in there and everything else. But it's very much aimed at I'd say our crowd, which is really neat. And I'm trying to think of others that are that way and are premium.
Mm-hmm. And for anybody that's concerned about getting in or out of there, as long as you're on flight following, it's super easy. Just be on a flight following, and you really don't have to. You just got to pay attention and be on a flight following. That's basically it.
And we'll include in the show notes, but Seth Lake, our friend who will be doing a Wings credit presentation there, has on his YouTube channel a video about flying in that airspace and what you really need to watch out for if you're on flight following or not. I've seen it twice now, and I'll watch it again right before we go just to make sure I'm familiar with it. Yeah. But definitely check that out.
And you get flight following from the ground at Bentonville at VBT, and you can just call Razorback Approach from the ground there, and they will just basically get you set up to go. Super easy, not complicated. It's busy, but it's not. I just want people to feel like it's not a overly complicated place to come. You just got to pay attention and participate in the system and all of that.
Now, Brian, did you catch what the name of the restaurant is?
It is called Louise.
Do you know why?
And it's because it's named after Louise Thaden, who became famous for being the woman that we named the Thaden invasion after.
Of course.
This is Thaden, VBT is Thaden Field, and it's named after Louise Thaden, and she's a very famous aviator.
Aviatrix, I believe, is
with a really cool history. So awesome. Real quick, can I just knock out this housekeeping? And
I was about to ask you to do so.
So you can join our Patreon community and help us keep the Midlife Pilot podcast ad-free. Your support makes the show possible, and every membership level gets you into our incredibly active Discord community. Our Lando-matic members are just $1 a month. That's 25 cents per episode. Get access to the community level Discord channels where pilots connect, share experiences, and support each other. At the Hershey Bar level and above, you'll unlock the full Patreon channels with expanded access to discussions on instrument training, plane ownership, flight debriefs, safety, career changes, plus exclusive behind-the-scenes content, extended interviews, and deep conversations we can't share anywhere else, but they're legal. And at the CAPS available level, you'll get into our podcast insiders channel where you can see how the show gets made and even help us get it, made. Honestly, we poll our podcast insiders a lot for pointers and things that they'd like to hear. So 10% of every dollar goes to Freedom Aviation Network's anti-human trafficking efforts, and for everything Midlife Pilot Podcast, to support us on Patreon, to send feedback, to grab yourself some merch, to check out the event information, read the blog and more, visit midlifepilotpodcast.com. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We will read it on the air. Hit subscribe, follow, do all the things in your podcast app. It really helps us raise our little profile here a little bit so that other pilots can find us. So that's it.
Excellent. I'll go over some of our Patreon and Discord things that have been going on. We want to thank our new people that have joined. At the Hershey Bar level, we have NC Aviator. I'm going to guess that's North Carolina Aviator. And we have Jim S. At the Beast Stole Kit level, we have Anthony. And at the CAPS available level, we have John W. And we have some feedback we may be reading from John later.
Awesome. Thank you all.
Also, the thing that our CAPS available people have access to early right now is a seminar about CAPS. So it's all kind of circular at that point.
Yeah.
Which is the Cirrus parachute system. So accomplishments in Discord this week. I wrote down a bunch of them that have been going through. Checkmate Barry was in General Aviation News. He shared a picture of a newspaper, a newsprint, which that actually exists still. So there's probably a link to it too, I imagine. Mark Wendell Geek announced his retirement and a wheelie.
Yay, congrats.
And a wheelie in his plane. So that was fun to see that little video.
I don't know what he's more proud of.
Exactly.
It really, if you watch that video, I think he was more proud of the wheelie than he was the retirement. So.
Well, his I think the work that he's been doing lately has been mostly paint schemes for his plane. So, yeah. Jay, aka Midlife Aviator, had his long solo cross country. It's kind of north-south in California.
Yeah.
So it's always good to see airports recognized in the West. Ben V soloed. Kitch landed in Alton Bay. That's the ice runway. So it's cool to see. Keith, my light sport flying buddy, passed a milestone of hours and shared the picture. That was great. And I think somebody had a Checkride, but I can't remember. So throw it to you, Ben.
Well, we'll come up with that here in a minute. Actually, we'll come up with it right now. So for those of you who are not on Patreon and did not know this, but the guy sitting below me right now, which if you're not watching, would
It
be
always
Brian
sounds weird when you
Siskind.
say that, by the way.
I know. That's why I do it, just to be weird.
Keep in mind, most of the audience is audio.
Yes, true.
Okay.
So my friend Brian Siskind passed his Checkride for his instrument rating today.
Yay.
And what we wanted to do tonight is normally our friend Wendell Geek, a.k.a. Mark, conducts these debriefs of our members who volunteered, who agreed to do it if they want to do it. Whatever type of debrief, private pilot, instrument, all of it, commercial. We've done an ATP debrief. Glider. We've done it all. What we wanted to do tonight is to give the rest of the world a taste of how these debriefs go. I believe, Brian, you said prior to your Checkride, you did go through some instrument debriefs from the channel. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, what a cool thing to be up against my own instrument Checkride and have. And by the way, thank you guys for letting me access our own Patreon so that I can get.
By the way, you're way behind on your Patreon dues. So, we're going to let it slide this time, but you need to catch up, buddy.
I owe you Patreon. I was thrilled to be able to go through and watch many of the instrument Checkride debriefs that are on there with various members, because the insights that you get are different than what you might find on ad nauseum YouTube videos, etc. Because these videos are semi-private and people can be a little bit more free with what they're saying about their experience. And it's just been really helpful. So yeah, what a great gift for us to have this community, and then for me to be able to leverage all of that information and insight for my own experience. And I can tell you, it really, really helped from many different angles, which we'll get into.
That's most definitely. So Mark has kind of a set series of questions that he proposes, and we're going to let the conversation flow normally and naturally. But Ted and I will kind of go back and forth and just put you in the hot seat and tell us everything. So I'll kick it off. And I do like his very first question for the instrument debrief. And that is, why was it important for you to get your instrument rating?
Spite. Because every instrument pilot that I know would never stop telling me, you really need to get your instrument rating. And here's the thing. I've always wanted to get my instrument rating. I would like to have the rating to fly into the stratosphere. I would like to have spacecraft ratings, okay? I want all of the ratings. But the reality is ratings cost money and time, and those things are hard to do. So I joke. I mean, I have so many. Lewis cornered me for a good 17 hours at the last flying about why I should get my instrument rating. So all that to be said, I have my own point of view on that, and I think it's consistent with everybody else's. It is going to make you a better pilot, and that is really what we're all trying to do here. These are just different vehicles and different tool sets and different curriculum to get through to better shape yourself overall as a pilot. It doesn't mean if you get a seaplane rating that you want to become a seaplane pilot. You go do that so that you become a better, more well-rounded pilot. So for me, the reason why it was important for me to get an instrument rating was to become a better pilot. But also, I'll say this, and this is hard to articulate, but I'll just try to get it out real quick before we get into other things. And I'm sure many people that are VFR pilots that have not yet accomplished their instrument rating feel like this maybe at times, especially the further they go into VFR. I did 800 hours of VFR flying before I got my instrument rating today. So it took a long time for me to get a sense of what I'm hearing on the radio. What are they talking about? Where are these people? It just really, the process of the instrument rating has now completed the picture of the NAS and how things work and all of that. So I just wanted to say that anybody that wants to become a better pilot or have a complete picture of what's going on, the instrument rating is the path to go. Oh, and by the way, you can file and fly in less than VFR condition. So what a great...
There's that.
Yeah.
Which is, not a small thing.
Yeah.
Now, before we get too far into the questions, John M. is asking, was it as bad as you expected?
Was it as bad as I expected?
Let's say the learning and the training and the Checkride. Yeah.
It's kind of a funny question because I'll just say yes. It was.
I would have been disappointed if you said anything else.
It was. I know that. Look, everybody's unique. Everybody has their own thing. I'm not a software coder. I'm not an engineer. I'm not the type of person whose brain takes to instrument flying like a fish to water. It is antithetical to how I think and how I function. And while I do understand and appreciate systems and hierarchies and logic and prescribed outcomes and procedures and all of the things, I definitely can appreciate structure and what it provides. But it is a lot. So let's just say it's a lot. And somebody like One Dull Geek, for him, I think it took him maybe 3 days to learn what I've been working on for the last 6 months and going nuts trying to figure out. So it's been very, very challenging for me. And in terms of the Checkride, the the training and the Checkride, I'll just put those together and just say, I wish that I could say it different. I didn't enjoy it. I saw it as I'm sitting down to eat raw broccoli until I've had my fill of the vegetables that I have to eat in order to reach this status to be able to do the next thing. All that to be said, I really believe that I will totally enjoy instrument flying now that I'm out of the hoop jumping of the training and the requirements and this is on the Checkride. This is, I remember when I was stuck in Shreveport, Louisiana 3 years ago as a VFR pilot because of the weather. And there were some Delta pilots at the hotel that I was talking to, and they said, you really need to get your instrument rating. I'm like, I know, I'm stuck here. And they said, look, it's a lot, but you only really need to take about 10% of that with you. You're going to, the rest, 90% of it will just go away. So that already had me at odds with even the endeavor of instrument flying because it's hard and I don't want to take on a lot of extra information. It's not to say that everything's not important. And I've kind of talked about this before, but anyway, the point is just the training and the Checkride did not enjoy, would not recommend, but it depends on the type of person you are, the type of brain that you have. But for me, I can't say that I enjoyed it.
So I'm going to get on to the next question, but quick follow-up to that. I have always thought, after watching your YouTube videos and being a huge fan of your videos for a long time, that you're a very cerebral person. And I always thought IFR was more cerebral than it was stick and rudder. And I do believe that it is. My question for you, you did kind of a do-it-yourself accelerated course. Is that a fair statement?
Timu.
Yeah, Timu version of the accelerated course.
Yes.
Do you think that may have sucked some of the fun out of it?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Okay.
And honestly, as much as I did a homegrown semi-accelerated course, there was a lot. When I was going through my logbooks to make sure everything was in check before the Checkride, I was really proud of myself for taking time to do simulated instrument things a year ago, 2 years ago, just offhand from time to time when it was easy enough and there was a safety pilot that could do it with me, just to start building those skills in that time in whatever way that I could, just chipping away. And this is definitely an exercise in trip, fall, succeed, like I've talked about. I just kept chipping away and putting things in the bucket and then coming back to it later. And then before I realized it, pretty soon I realized that I had actually accumulated some things here and I actually wasn't as far away as I thought. And that's when I turned on the afterburners and went in, knocked out all the written things and took Erica Gilbert's course, which was fantastic. Highly recommend. And did everything I needed to do to just ramp it up. So on one hand, it was accelerated. On another hand, it was a slow burn to start.
Yeah. So I want to, this is going back to one of Mark's questions that he asked on the debriefs. I'm going to change it up just a little bit because I noticed in the chat and I've noticed from other feedback that we've gotten that there's a lot of pilots that are going through VFR training right now. Maybe they have eyes towards IFR afterwards. Maybe not. Doesn't matter. I'd like for you to, if you can, in your own words, obviously, compare and contrast your VFR or your private pilot training versus your instrument training.
I think I've said this before, but private pilot, it's all new. And so that anything you're doing is probably important to learn. Even if some of it is not going to be things that you do every day, you're not going to go out flying all the time and do turns around a point, but you are going to go maybe see your friend's house and fly around it, so why not have a sense of how to do that? There's some real reason why you can see that everything's happening. It doesn't mean with IFR you can't. In fact, the reasons are almost hidden, and you have to really understand a lot of interrelational things to really see why it is the way it is. But I think that with private, it's so much more physical muscle memory. So I just really enjoyed private pilot training a lot. I mean, I had a hard time. I had,
You're right.
famously hard time with certain aspects of it. And it's very difficult in its own right, for sure. But I feel like with this, I'm kind of getting through instrument training in such a way that it feels like if I would have done my private training and gotten done with it in 45 hours, which is too soon. You know what I mean? Even though the legal minimum is 40, I feel like that's kind of what I did with instrument is I was able to just get the requirements done and a little bit more and get through it. Now I can actually start.
Right.
And go from there. Does that answer the question?
It does. It does. Ted, do you want to get Mike Alpha Golf's?
Yeah. Let me pull up Mike Alpha Golf's question here. He said, if you expected a bit of an unfun process and it was so, what's something that was unexpected or surprising?
I think what would be unexpected or surprising that I've experienced is how hard it is to get the correlation phase of the learning an instrument happening. And I guess what I mean by that is intellectually and on paper, I understand exactly what needs to happen. It's not, in many ways, it is not complex. It's not abstract. It's you go here, you do this, you turn this, you come back inbound, you do this, you step down to these altitudes, or depending on the type of approach you're doing, or here's a glide slope or whatever. It's all completely laid out. There's no imagination needed. In fact, the last thing you can have is imagination. And please don't have any imagination.
Yeah.
But I think what I have found to be most surprising is how difficult it is, even with a reasonable amount of VFR flying experience and just overall flying an airplane experience. 800 hours is a reasonable amount of time to be used to flying an airplane and having some sense of governance and control over the physical controls and how you correlate brain and intention, plans, outcomes, whatever it is. I have found it so hard to get my body to do what my brain knows better. The muscle memory, the corrections, really making them small corrections, the set it and leave it, let it come to you. All of those graces, I fully understand. But when you have energy ramped up and you're on a Checkride or whatever, it's very hard to keep yourself from doing things you shouldn't do. Or, when you're used to VFRing all the time, you take liberties with the descent and the timing of your descent and things like that. And I will find myself periodically when I'm cleared to an initial approach fix, but to maintain a particular altitude, everything I want to do is I've talked to ATC. Now I can start my descent because that's all I've been doing for 4 or 5 years. And no, you cannot. Do not do that. So it's been a little surprising, I think, how hard it is to get the intellectual part of it to marry up to just the behavioral and the muscle part of it.
Very interesting. So what was your confidence level going into the Checkride? Now we're midlifers and we beat ourselves up.
Sure.
But we need pure honesty here.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're midlifers and we beat ourselves up, but we're also self-aware.
Yeah, that's true.
On many levels.
Well, some of us are.
Some of us are aspiring self-aware.
Yeah.
So no, but I think it's an interesting thing because the confidence in the early stages of anything is just going to fluctuate and be subject to conditions. So for instance, even just my Checkride was 2 days. Yesterday, I was confident-ish. I would have a phone call with you, or I'd have a phone call with another friend who's an airline pilot, or I'd talk to somebody who's not a pilot, or just going through life yesterday. It was depending on who I talked to and how we talked about it, I would feel more confident or less, depending on what we talked about and how we talked about it. So I was riding this wave yesterday of, you know what? I'm actually feeling pretty good, you know? And then 2 hours later, it's like, this is not gonna be good, you know? So you just ride that wave. I can't say that there was some consistent level of confidence or lack of confidence that I was at. And the whole thing's been sort of like that, up and down, up and down. And I think VFR, private pilot training is very much that up and down. And like I said, I am due to do a lot more instrument training, and that will sort out all of the things I'm talking about here. Just so you know, I don't see this as I've arrived and now I'm going to go send it. It's, and I don't want to use the term license to learn either, because that is almost an unnecessary limiting kind of cliche. But now that I've got enough confidence that I know I've seen the lay of the land and I've answered to someone who understands everything about it, and they say that I'm within tolerances and specifications to start being terrible at that as much as I want. So that's what I'm doing.
Very cool. So let's talk about the Checkride itself. In one part that I'm particularly curious about, the oral portion.
Yeah.
And you were given a cross country to go from X-ray, November X-ray, to someplace very close by me, Peachtree DeKalb Airport, PDK.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how that went. How was that, the oral on that?
Yeah.
Is there anything you can remember how it went?
It's funny. It's coming back to me slowly. It's coming back to me in almost Vietnam War story kind of.
You're suffering from
little
PTSD.
flashback moments, you know?
Yeah.
But no, he set it up to say, I do a very difficult oral examination. If you get through the oral examination, you can be reasonably confident that you will probably do fine on the flying portion, or, you know, you can be encouraged about it. Like, basically, if you can make it through this, then you're probably gonna, I think his experience tells him, if people can make it through this, then they're generally good to go in the other areas. So, so that, you know, that really sets the relaxing tone. It was really involved. I mean, it was a lot, and it wasn't, if you go on YouTube and you watch Checkride debriefs, there were maybe some basic things that were kind of like that, you know, some of the memory item type of things. But he was very quickly, and I appreciated this, he said, look, you're going to hit me with a bunch of memory items when I get through some of this stuff, but I'm going to be really pressing you on the why that surrounds these things. He said that I've got a lot of young people coming in now that are really good at rote memorization, and they have memorized the tools, the Pilot's Cafe PDFs, they've memorized all this stuff, but they have not placed it into, they have not contextualized this information, and they do not really have a sense of the why. And I watch them fall apart when I start to ask them why. And then I became the, there were a couple things that tripped me up. But I think that it was more about how he was asking the questions that was challenging for me, because the way that he was asking questions is not in the same tonality, verbiage, or framework as a lot of the study guides, or which are a little bit linear and on the nose about even the ASA book, those things. It's still kind of on the nose. But then the way he would ask things was more about, like I said, the why, or I guess I don't want to get into specific examples really, but it would be sort of the equivalent of saying, instead of saying, what are the 4 X, Y, and Z things or whatever, he would say, which 2 are not this? Or, you know, it was always one level of drilling down and higher, or changing the hierarchy of the information in some way to where it forced you to think about it in a different way based on predicating circumstances. So anyway, the oral portion was very challenging, I think, for me. And I had to ask him to reframe questions several times. But that's
How long was it?
I want to say about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that's a good chunk.
Yeah. And I think that he expected to be done in about 1.5 hours.
Okay.
It was not. So that's how it went. But I think that was, well, we'll get into this, but I think I definitely did better on the oral than I did on the practical. We'll get into that. But PDK, yeah, planned the cross country down there. We went through the Buckhead 3 arrival, and there's a few neat little things about that. We didn't really get too deep. I was way over prepared.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling you did.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, our last phone call together,
Yeah.
I kind of hinted that you're kind of overthinking this.
Yeah. I definitely all in, well over prepared, but that's how you want it. That's the only thing you can control. And so
Right.
that's what you want, because you don't really know what's going to happen. You
And guess what? You're prepared to fly into PDK right now.
I had a good gouge. I had I had a lot of insights. I had a good idea of what was going to happen, but still you don't know what's going to happen. And definitely things happened in my experience that were not consistent with the gouge or gouges that I was able to get that were really specific. So anyway, I don't know. Does that answer your question? I mean,
It does.
The oral was,
We got a couple more to get through.
Sure.
And Ted, feel free to jump in whenever you want to. So let's just hit the flight portion of it. We're assuming, did you actually file an IFR plan?
No.
Okay. And the DP behaved as ATC because he used to be a controller.
That's right. And so that was fun.
Did you do unusual attitudes?
Yes. And not a problem.
Yeah.
You know,
I kind of like them.
Yeah.
To me, it's kind of nice to do it to fight spatial disorientation.
mhm.
If you do it enough times, it just kind of gets you past that little initial wave. So
Yeah, I think the challenge there is that the Checkride was between X-ray, November X-ray, and Mike 54 back to X-ray, November X-ray, which is,
that's Lebanon.
yeah. So 5 minutes away,
Yeah.
or whatever. So everything was so fast and so tightly spaced and so crammed. I guess we're already talking about the practical now. Do you want to just get
Yes,
into
that's
that?
what we're talking about. Yes.
So, the unusual attitudes were the first thing after we took off out of there. So he scrambles your brain, and then you've got to get right on. You're headed. You're getting vectored right then. As soon as you get done with the unusual attitudes.
I was gonna say, as soon as you figure out what attitude you're in,
Yeah.
turn to a heading of 220.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's real. So I appreciated that. He immediately failed the WAAS.
Okay.
And so I reverted to LNAV minimums, flew the RNAV GPS down, step downs, the whole thing. Then coming back into Gallatin, runway 35, did and then he failed my my G5. And so, things are just failing. And then he just left the SBAS turned off on the GPS. So, okay, why don't you just turn the engine off? It's fine. I don't and we went circling to mist to then out, wait for the SBAS to turn back on and actually connect so I could fly an LPV coming back down. It was so nice to fly an LPV after all that. I'm really breezing past a lot of things, but
No, it's fine.
it was so nice to fly an LPV with a glide slope and just to do the things. So, and then the winds were wild the whole time. It was very, very, very windy and gusty. And so that made it very challenging. That set the stage for me to do some over controlling. One thing I will share with you that I think is quite good is that, when I did, the first approach, I made a couple mistakes where I could kind of tell that I'd already moved to the edge of his tolerance level for one mistake I think that I made, that maybe it had to do with altitude. I can't remember. And so I knew that I really needed to do a good job throughout, and I probably overworked myself. I probably overcorrected a lot. I was amped up, trying to calm myself down, but I just felt like I had to really run the table. It's such a tight set of approaches, one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. Anyway, coming down on that LPV, I'm thinking home stretch, home stretch, home stretch. Don't screw this up, and got down to minimums, flip open the hood. There we are. And now we got to land. I'm having to maintain 85 knots, 200 feet off the ground at short final to get through this wind and the crosswind and everything. And he said, right at that point, I mean, we were about to go over the numbers, or we were on short final, definitely. And he said, you passed, but if you kill me, you won't be able to get your ticket.
I want to make a comment about this. And for all of us who have passed a Checkride of any variety, I've been told, and I have a DPE specifically in mind that I hope to get on at some point in time this year. I think the majority of the DPEs don't expect you to be perfect. But if you see that you're making a mistake and you go to correct it, mm-hmm. they're going to pretend like that never happened because you're aware of it. And that's all there is to it. Mm-hmm. If you're not aware of the mistakes happening, then quite frankly, they should stop you from, or, fail you on that maneuver.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying. And all of us on every check ride are probably pushing the edges of those tolerances mm-hmm. a little bit, because mm-hmm. none of us are going to fly a perfect check ride. So mm-hmm. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I want to get to the last few. We're going to skip around a little bit. Have you thought about personal minimums going forward for IFR?
Yep.
Is it too soon?
No. This is very simple, actually. And this is a unique thing about my training experience. Doing this in the winter was the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. Because number one, it's cold.
Yes.
Number two, icing all the time. Number three, no actual. So my CFII was even mentioning to the DPE beforehand, just so that he was sure, he basically said this was an intensive winter framed time frame, January mostly, and we could not get into actual. It's not that we avoided it, we just couldn't. And this is, so based on all that, I was actually laughing at myself because I just thought, wow, even if a little tiny little marginal, just 1,000, 2,000 foot little baby layer just came in over Gallatin after my check ride, and I'm now an instrument pilot and I could file and fly, I wouldn't have done it because I was so exhausted. And I'm just, my thing is I'm doing more training. I am not trying to go get into IMC right now. I need more time. And there are going to be people like me that don't get any actual. It doesn't mean I haven't experienced it. Flying with you, Ben, flying with others. I have some sense, but I haven't been responsible for an entire flight while handling all the business. So
right.
My minimums right now are going to be very generous and no IMC. I think I'm just going to use the time right now the cool thing is that big shout out to CFII Ben, who's also Tailwheel Ben. Big shout out to him. He was the best instructor I could have ever possibly had for this whole thing, because he understands all sides of it. He understands me very well as a person. And I think that's a huge thing. If you can find a CFI that just gets you, then that is half the battle. And they can really stage you for information and growth much better. And this was an experience for him to get a little bit better at becoming an instrument instructor. And so we were cooperative, I think, in that experiment.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to report that his passing rate is 100%. So, but the cool thing about that is otherwise, his tailwheel school, which by the way, Drift Aviation, go check him out if you're around Middle Tennessee. When there's bad weather days, marginal days, or IFR days, I know that he's free because the primary aspects of his operation cannot run when it's not VFR. So I have a feeling that we'll be going up and getting a bunch of time here real soon. And it'll be so nice because it'll be without the burden of the upcoming Checkride and the date and all the anxiety and all you have all these paperwork things and just all of that. I'm just so glad to just be done with the bureaucratic part of it and be certified on some basic level to not be a total idiot and go actually start doing this. So my minimums are very, very, I don't even really, as much as I am an instrument pilot as of today, I have so much to do.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to transitioning to doing this for real outside of training, I want to hit something that Mark said, which was, I think there is imagination required when tackling real world IFR. So just want to pass that on because you said you didn't think there was much imagination in the training. And so he's saying in the real world there is. So
I think he's
I just want to grab that
that.
before we did.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that, Mark. I do appreciate that. I mean, it's just a different, I don't know. It's like, are you into oil painting or Tinker Toys? I mean, there's just going to be, I don't know. There's just different, it's frameworks. So if you're modulating frameworks, that is the imagination.
Yeah. He's got a second question there, which is, if you had another instrument pilot in the plane, would you be willing to fly an IMC, such as if you were giving Ben a ride? This Ben, not CFI Ben.
That's a great question. It's very circumstantial. Let's talk about what kind of IMC. Is it to punch through a layer and just be on top and then get somewhere and come down through a layer for a second and be through it versus sustained IMC for, 2 hours? There's that. And then there's also just is this person familiar with or comfortable with my airplane?
Yeah.
And do they understand my avionics Ben would be fine in the sense that you have a 430, I have a 530. They're speaking the same primitive language. So, but if it's somebody with a G1000 coming into a 530, there might be something that comes up where I believe I can handle anything that might come up, but you want two equally capable people at the very least, with the capabilities of the plane. So I don't know. I will fly with Mark anytime. I know that. I know he's got it. So
now, what if there were two instrument pilots with you in the plane? And after you answer that, what about two instrument pilots and a goat? If we're going through hypotheticals, let's clear everything here.
Right.
I want to let everybody know when Mark does his debriefs, he goes into a little bit more detail and ask some better questions. We've got some really good feedback that I want to get to tonight. So we're going to segue away from Brian's amazing accomplishment. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
We got some feedback, and I feel like we probably should hit the audio feedback first, Ted. Would that be okay with you guys?
Yeah.
One of the things we're really interested in is kind of the spouses flying in airplanes and how the spouses feel about you flying and that type of thing. We've talked about it on the podcast early on. We bring it up every once in a while with various topics because we're in our midlife and many of us have a spouse that we think about. So Jacqui, who is Ryan Kay's spouse, Ryan is part of the kind of Midwest Mafia, and he has a RV-10, and he joined us in Texas. So anyway, Jacqui gave us some feedback that she wanted to give us.
We sent out a challenge last week.
Yeah,
we sent out a challenge saying we'd love to hear from you, and she rose to that challenge. So let's go to it.
Yeah.
Hello, Midlife Pilots. This is Jacqui Kay. I was listening to episode 166 on our last road trip this weekend with my husband, Ryan, and I heard your call out to us non-flying spouses. So, as a midlife person who suffers from a general fear of heights, tall buildings, steep mountainous cliffs, and basically any geographic position which occurs higher than 10 feet AGL, I was a bit remiss to hear that my spouse intended to earn his private pilot's license and that I get to join him on his aviation adventures. But endeavoring to be a supportive spouse, I started paying attention to the YouTube videos Ryan watched during dinner time and the podcasts he listened to on long car rides. And over the past few years, I have become an avid listener of Midlife Pilot podcasts, as well as a few others, and even had the opportunity to meet some of you in person at OSH. Well, I've used the media platforms to learn some of the lingo and educate myself on basic aviation practices and situational awareness to help me feel more comfortable and confident when flying with Ryan. He and I have also worked together on basic airplane systems and radio calls to get myself to the point where, should an emergency arise, I have the confidence in myself that I could get us back on the ground. Now, the airplane may not be usable afterwards, but we've got a fighting chance. Oh, and I'm somewhat disappointed that the timing doesn't work out for me to join you on the Thaden invasion this year, but I hope to meet more of y'all in person soon. I hope this helps support the notion that non-flying spouses do listen to and find value in the Midlife Pilot podcast. Thank you for continuing to build this community of great people, and I hope this inspires more spouses to get involved.
Yeah, I love that.
So good.
Oh,
Yeah.
makes me want to fly up to the Midwest and just go take her out to dinner. And
Exactly.
Ryan, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he joined us or not. Thank you very much, Jacqui, for that feedback. If you're still in the chat and you've made it this far and not fallen asleep during boring IFR talk, that's fantastic.
Yes.
But wouldn't blame you if you did. But
By the way, I just want to correlate this a little bit and say thank you to everyone here in the chat, to everybody in the community, to you guys for helping me make my instrument ride happen. I couldn't have done it without all of the support and help and psychological help and all of the other things that I've needed along the way. Ben, you've talked me down a bunch of times. So just wanted to make sure I thank everybody. And then also when we're talking about spouses, I couldn't have done it without mine. So huge group effort. So I didn't want to let people down. I'm glad I did not. But I've got a lot to do. But I just want to correlate that to the spouse piece.
Yep.
Now, also, that voice message is the coolest voice message that we've ever received. And I would love to hear more about this. And I actually played that for my spouse ahead of time. And she said, I was just, this should be a podcast, So I just love it. It's such a humanizing and interesting and compelling parallel point of view. And none of us would be doing this without the collective, sometimes resistant agreement. So for a spouse to allow a midlife person to realize their dreams and not only do it, but then to take the time to understand it better and be curious about it and supportive and helpful and get to the point where you actually are participating in a way that feels right for you. I just think that's amazing. So I just wanted to shout that out.
very cool. Brian, we've got one more feedback. I know we've been grilling you pretty hard. You've been doing a lot of talking. Do you want to take this? Or you want me to take it?
You can take it.
All right, I'll take it. This one kind of hit home as well. It's a very common theme, but each has their own unique aspects to it. This one comes to us from a new CAPS available Patreon member. He wrote in. He said, "Hi, gents. My name is John W. I'm 57 and live with my wife in Washington area, up in the Northwest. Just a few miles from Tango India Whiskey. I've been listening to Nearby Planes for years now and keep telling myself, maybe I'll become a pilot one day. I had an interest in aviation at a young age to the point where my kindergarten teacher took me up for a flight at the age of 6. Well, I've decided to take the plunge and dive into lessons. I've been studying for several months for the private pilot written test and plan to begin flight lessons this spring. I co-manage a firm of 10 attorneys and still have a high schooler at home, so things are busy. But listening to your podcast from the beginning," and he says he's now current, "I have learned a lot despite your mantra that you are not educators. Most importantly, I've been inspired that I can make it happen. The time you have given and continue to give the community is so appreciated. So having learned that, I have a fully developed frontal lobe. That's it. That it's never too late to join the aviation community. And with my trusty copy of The Killing Zone in one hand and my logbook with 0.9 hours of a discovery flight in the other, I'm all in for this journey.
Yeah.
Your new friend, John.
Very cool.
That just makes my heart sing.
That's what it's all about. That is a case study in what this is all about. When he said, I've been inspired that I can make it happen. It's to be any small part of people making the turn in their beings and in their minds to say, I can do this, and take it out of lofty aspiration and talk to actually direction and action and doing it. That is the most satisfying thing ever. I love this message. Thank you so much for that, John.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
if these three can do it, I could do it.
That's right. That's exactly right.
John joined us in Discord, I think yesterday, and already connected with the other person that shares his airport. So that's the great thing about Discord. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. We're out of the same airport.
It's funny too, because there are some people that just kind of lurk, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
But as soon as they see somebody that's in their geographic region, they will speak up really, really quickly.
Yeah.
Which is exactly how I think that's fantastic. So I'm not knocking it.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. Please don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You know, if you left 5 stars, that wouldn't hurt my feelings. Subscribe on your podcast app. And want to ask, do either of you have any other final thoughts?
No.
Thanks.
In honor of Brian's passing his instrument Checkride, tonight's bit of wisdom is in relation to instrument flying. Precision approaches, because nothing says fun like chasing needles through clouds. Signing off, episode 168 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast. Goodbye, everybody.